Welcome back to the 12th segment of my last Remnant 100% completion New Game Plus hard mode run. In this segment, about 80% of this video is wrapped up in the 6 bases and the Koenigsdorf fight. The remainder is dedicated to a single quest, the story portion in Darkened Forests, and a couple of guild tasks that take place there. So most of this, again, is just going to be the fighting, and there's not a whole lot really to say about it. I might have a couple of comments once we get inside the bases, but the exterior fights really aren't going to be worthy of any commentary. The party itself is really not going to have a whole lot of difficulty getting through them, and so I'll let the fights speak for themselves for the most part. I will have a few things to say once we get to the story portion that follows, and especially once we start knocking out the handful of guild tasks that we do. The one thing I'll say up front is that it's recommended that you do save before you start the base fights, because it's a commonly missed quest is the Duke of Gore's quest. If you're not following a guide, you may fail to satisfy the requirements for unlocking that quest. And what you need to do is after the first, third, and fifth base that you complete, not necessarily the base number, but which one that you complete in your own sequence. You can go in whatever order you'd like. But after the first, third, and fifth base, you have to make sure that you take a break to go to Gore and speak with the Duke of Gore. He'll have a red talk bubble over his head. If you have those 3 interactions in between those bases, you'll be able to tackle his quest once you're through the Darkened Forest story portion.
This may even be fun.
Hang in there, okay?
How'd you like that?
Piece of cake!
Alright, so first up we've got Snievan here for base 1, and there really isn't a whole lot to say about him. He's pretty straightforward. His gimmick is that he likes to mess with your morale. He uses some psionic arts, and his special move is Lose Revenge. You're basically going to have to eat at least one of those following the end of the first turn, but other than that, this is one of the easier base fights. In fact, if you do them in sequence based on how they're numbered, you'll find that this is one of the easier, and then base 6 can be one of the more challenging. But we'll get through this again without much hassle, and besides the one Lose Revenge, the party will not have any challenge.
What are you looking at? How'd you like
Better than
that?
I expected.
nothing to do but fight now, is there? Nice! This one looks loaded!
You're all right now that I'm here?
Thus, my repentance finally reaches the sublime beauty of death. Truly, I have reached the pinnacle of beauty.
This is of no concern to you.
What are you looking at? Look!
Do it like that every time! How you like that?
Alive and kicking! The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Nice! This one looks loaded.
How you like that?
We're gonna win!
Like that hurt? You wanna play?
I know I'm good.
So inside base 2 we have Zuido, and his special move is Giant Press, which he will use every 4 turns, including the end of the first turn. But in addition to that, every time he gets the opportunity to act, he uses increasingly powerful combat art. So he begins with a normal attack, and then he begins to cycle through your rank C arts, on through B, A, S, and then SS, weapon-specific arts. And then if you if the fight lasts long enough, then he will return back to the beginning of that sequence. But other than that, he's mostly focused on just using physical attacks, although it is worth noting that you can paralyze him. It does not prevent him from using those arts.
For the best move you will ever see!
Better hit harder than that!
Nice! This one looks loaded!
That wasn't necessary.
Kick in their faces for the star!
You are so dead!
God, what do you think you're doing?
Here I come!
Huh? What's the deal? This ain't fun at all. It's cold. Cold, cold, cold. Damn it. Cold, cold, cold. Somebody do something. Do cold.
No surprises there.
Son of a... I need the other one! The other one! The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Nice! This one looks loaded. Leave these beans to me!
That's gotta hurt!
You mad for this?
Ah!
Bloody hell. Send them back!
Smash him from the side! Yeah! That's the way!
Kill them all!
There's still plenty of power left in these old bones.
So the key to dealing with Ludope's galaxy here inside Base 3 is to avoid targeting him until he is the only unit left on the field. He's going to stand by, try to use long range arts, and if you target him directly, you're going to raid lock him, and raid lock guarantees a galaxy in retaliation. So deal with his minions first, attack him from long range if you'd like, but then don't interact with him directly until he's all that's left. Once he goes critical, there is a chance that he's going to get a galaxy off before you can take him out, but by that point your morale should be high enough to where you can withstand it.
You okay?
Nice! This one looks loaded!
What's this?
Blindside 'em but good, guys!
Like that, is it? Keep it together! Thank you.
This can be. This is my grave. voices are gone now. I can finally rest in peace.
No surprise
There's
there.
still plenty of power left in these old bones.
Checking my stats, huh?
Here goes!
Like that hurts!
Nice! This one looks loaded!
Come on, guys!
Your life is over. No way! I'll match you blow for blow! Hey, stand your ground! Trying to be a tough guy?
You're not going to perish from that
Cover your
scratch,
flank!
are you?
Coming at you! Not too shabby! Life is over.
Come on, guys!
Smash him from the side! Try again tomorrow.
There's still plenty of power left in these old bones.
So base force Hinnah and Hinnah can be the most challenging if you have not done any kind of a grind, and that's because on turn 1 they're going to use a battlefield-wide move, Twin Snow Petal, and they will use it again every 3 turns after turn 1, and so you want to be prepared for that. Recover your union's HP as best you can and raise your morale. If you have not done any sort of a grind, this may be a roadblock for you, and you may have to take a break from the bases to do some grinding to get your HP levels up. Again, this is the only fight that you really can't do any preparation on that first turn to soften the blow. If you're fortunate enough to get a summon command, at least one union is guaranteed to dodge the attack, but other than that, everybody's got to have the stats to survive. You can potentially do some dodging with some high evasion gear and formations, but once again, it's mostly based on stats. We're not going to have, again, any hassle here, but what I would advise to any other player is that when you've eliminated the mobs and you have just the twins left, that you would focus on Hinnah, which is the dark-haired twin first, since she has the capability of reviving Hinnah. If Hinnah falls, she can use second chance multiple times in the fight, and that can be certainly aggravating when you've worked so hard to get them into critical. Once Hinnah is the only one remaining, she will use Total Domination, which is an enthrall move. You recall from dealing with the Gates of Hell, that basically turns your union over to the enemy's side. You can cure it with Cure Them if it kills them, but to avoid that, I would recommend not charging in with all of your unions when it is just Hinnah remaining. Other than that, they do drop the Night Bloom, which is a Remnant Katana. There are 4 potential recipients of that. Arena is the first one. Emmy will also take it, and then spoiler alert, when you get the twins later on, if you choose to recruit them, they will take it if you have upgraded it at least one time. In this case, I'm going to leave it on Rush. It's sort of my gimmick here. I made him an assassin, but an assassin that focuses on katana arts just for a little bit of a change of pace. You'll see here, now that the first turn of Twin Snow Petal is behind us, this fight is going to be pretty straightforward.
This one's putting up a fight.
God, what do you think you're doing?
To do that! We're gonna win! No way!
This is what I've been searching for. A second too late.
Observe my stats carefully before making a choice.
Impressive, huh?
What are you looking at? No way.
Beautiful!
Smash him from the side!
Nice. This one looks loaded.
Stand up! Keep fighting!
No way. Crush them all at once! He felt that one. No way.
No surprises there.
This is of no concern to you.
Now we have Young inside base 5, and his gimmick is to use Brawl, which is an area of effect art. It targets a union, but it actually has a range that's beyond that. In order to avoid Brawl, unfortunately, you cannot be deadlocked with him at the end of the turn, and so if he's fighting a union and they have fallen, he will not use Brawl, but the likelihood of that, especially as the fight wears on, is very slim. Keep your morale as high as you can, because he does like to shift morale in his favor with Victory Cry. But again, other than that, he's not terribly challenging. He mostly focuses on his end of turn art, and again, keeping morale in his favor.
This one looks loaded.
Bring it on! Away!
Steady there.
Like that, is it?
My best. Kick in their faces from the side.
This one's gonna knock you into next week!
I still got plenty of ass kicking left in me. Damn it. Where did all my strength go? You weren't supposed to be that strong.
No surprises there.
There's still
I've
plenty
obtained
of power
something of
left in
great
these old
use.
bones.
My turn to receive will come.
What are you looking at? Drop!
That was effective.
No way! The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Nice! This one looks loaded.
Get ready for the best move you will ever see!
Be careful!
Kill them all! Let pieces of flat! fight is over.
That one.
Away.
Let thy fealty lead to victory!
Deceit, it's time to dance.
No chance! Oh, damn it!
Crush them with heaven's wrath!
Piece of cake!
This is of no concern to you.
Inside base 6 we have Milton, and his special move is Iron Will, which is basically a stats boosted overdrive. It gives Milton 5 actions per deadlock, and so it's almost guaranteed that he will wipe the Union out that he's engaged with, since his normal attacks, which is what he prefers to use, are insta-kill. So unless you have some kind of immunity to insta-kill based on class, it's almost guaranteed that the Union will fall. That being said, he will stand by while you deal with his minions, and he'll just meditate, and so you can ignore him until he's the only one that is remaining. At that point, I would recommend sending in 2 unions at a time to deal with him, expecting the very first one to fall. Don't engage him with more than that unless you have the opportunity to get a free flank or a rear assault, and keep your remaining unions away from him. Stand by with recovery commands, knowing that they will reassess to revive the union that is sacrificed. The second union that has gone in to fight him will not be retaliated against if the first one has been wiped out. And so you can keep cycling through pairs of unions at a time, knowing that by the end of the fight, you'll probably have 1 union that has fallen, but everybody else should be standing.
Nothing to do but fight now, is there? Nice! This one looks loaded! Kick in their faces, like that!
Watch this! I meant to do that!
You are weak, and you are horribly mistaken to think that you can defy the greatness that is the Conqueror.
Piece of cake!
So a quick comment here at the end of this fight, you'll see that we got the Serpent Star drop, which is a large-sized katana. The only way that you will get this is if you completed the quest Emotions, which we did, and you also held on to the Ancient Scabbard throughout the exchange within that quest. If you have it in your inventory at the end of this fight, you will get the Serpent Star. It's a nice weapon. It does not have any weapon arts, and it cannot be upgraded. But if you have a large-sized katana user, they will ask for it if they have already been shifted to physical focus. If they're still in balance, they won't look at it. So the next segment here is we roll right into the Cyclops fight. This is not going to be challenging for us, but it does have predictable action. So just like Hannah and Hinnah on the very first turn, it's going to use the Gay Bulg, and it will use it every 3 turns after that. So you can prepare for it, try to again increase your morale and recover before it actually takes action. But other than that, it's not going to be really too much of a challenge for us.
What are you looking at?
Here.
This one's putting up a fight. My thanks.
Kicking their faces from the sky.
Like that, is it?
This is of no concern to you.
So we made it through the 6 bases really without too much trouble, and the last leg of this story portion is the Koenigsdorf fight itself. The fight is a slight increase as far as difficulty goes over the base fights. The trash mobs in this are a little bit tougher than the ones you've been facing up to this point, and so I would recommend saving it before you head into the battle. It has been known to be a wake-up call to some players since there is a slight difficulty spike as far as enemy strength goes. But we're going to head into the fight after a little bit of union rearranging. And if you're struggling with the opening few waves, I would recommend doing something similar to what I'm going to do here. I'm going to put Pagus in charge. I'm going to use Megalore just to clear the battlefield. With every step of the reinforcements, we'll just keep knocking out the trash mobs and quickly make our way to the boss. You could use Megalore. You can use David with Gay Bulg. You can use Blackout if you'd like, or your preferred Arcana. Any of those will quickly get you through the trash mobs. And even though they are trash mobs, they are just a hair stronger than what you have been used to. At the start of the fight, I would also recommend doing what you'll see me do, and that is to stand by for the first couple of turns. You begin at a distance, and you may as well let the enemy come to you. There's no danger in standing by and letting your AP build up so that once you are engaged, you're able to use a lot more options than what you're normally able to open with.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
was loaded.
Remnant, I call upon thee! That was effective. Got them on the run! When you hit, you really hit. Your life is over.
Keep it up!
Like that, is it?
Leave this one putting up a
Come
fight.
on, let's run him down! This one's gonna knock you into next week!
That was a yawner.
I know I'm good.
So now that Koenigsdorf is behind us, the next story event is Darkened Forest. And there's a lot to do in the Darkened Forest area, but I'm going to avoid most of the fighting as I make my way through it the first time. There's a few guild tasks that we can take care of through harvesting, one of which is going to finally get Hematea to the Ouroboros Volge. That's a task we've been waiting to complete for quite some time. By doing it, again, using Hematea and his upgrade path, you'll save 300,000 gold gold, and so it's certainly worth it. Certainly didn't cost that much to hire him. Everything else, though, again, is going to be taken care of through harvesting, and then we'll make us another trip in here in the next segment where we'll actually do more of the mob-based fighting. Just like we did during the Fornstrand section, we'll come back to Darkened Forest and take out the mob-related guild tasks then. So I am doing a bit of wandering around Darkened Forest. I'm looking for an excavation point. This is not the one I'm looking for. This gives me the bent staff. I'm looking for the one that gives me the crooked spear, and that's the one that Hinnah needs. The bent staff, if you were curious, is useful yet. You can upgrade a base level cudgel all the way to the Warlord's level in a single upgrade. And so if you're doing a New Game Plus and wanted to do more of a Mystic Rush, or you had a staff user that you wanted to keep on the cudgel line, that's certainly worth keeping in your inventory and gathering the other two components necessary for that. So this harvest point is a place where you can get divine metal, and we need 3 pieces for a guild task. Now I need a few more pieces than that for my own use. I've got some upgrades that require it, but while you're here, make sure you pick up 3 pieces for your guild task. Now the same harvest point can be used to obtain dragon scales, and we'll revisit that likely in the next segment. We've got a generic soldier to pick up, and once we have him in our party, we'll come back, get these components to upgrade his starting weapon, and we'll be able to complete another one of the Weapon Master Guild tasks by using a soldier.
This may even be fun.
Everywhere we go, slime like you are creeping around.
Looks like that's
Catch them in their blind spot. All right.
We shall stop them here.
that was a
I know I'm good.
I feel
I got
stronger
it.
than I did
This
before.
is what I've been searching for.
A second too late.
Damn it! That was mine.
So while I am still looking for excavation points, this is not the one I'm looking for. This one does not move on you. This is the Skelos Morsel, again increasing our digs count and fully restoring current digs quantities to max. So you want to grab this while you're here. I'm also stopping at this harvest point, not because it's related to a guild task, but this one does give you crimson ore. And if you're upgrading any of your party members' weapons to a final weapon that ends with the might prefix, like the might scythe or the might executioner, you'll need crimson ore to do that, and so this is the harvest point from which you obtain it. Alright, we're almost through. A couple more guild tasks we can complete. From this harvest point, we can obtain seeds. You need 4 of them for a guild task, and I'm going to be here for a little while since I don't get all 4 of them in a single harvest. A couple of attempts, and eventually I'll be moving on.
All right! Awesome! All right! Awesome! All right! Awesome!
So this next harvest point is where you obtain holy water, and you will need 3 units of holy water for its own guild task. I'll specify that that is task 45 of the Union of the Golden Chalice Guild, and the reason I'm pointing it out is that if you choose to redeem this task, you'll be given the Eye of the Dragon. If you have that in your inventory, the Eldritch Dragon will spawn in Fornstrand, and it will be present until you defeat it. And so it actually blocks your passage through about halfway of the second map of the area. And so if you wanted to keep that map completely open for your own use, you may want to postpone redeeming that guild task until you're ready for the dragon to appear. Here we finally have the excavation point that gives the crooked spear. This is the last component that Hinnah needs to upgrade his weapon to the Ouroboros Volge. Once we return to town, he'll make that upgrade, and again it saves us 300,000 gold to have crafted it ourselves, and so it's certainly worthwhile to go this route. Again, we'll wait till he gets to town, he'll upgrade his weapon to that, and then we will redeem the guild task immediately, so that if you wanted to continue to use Hinnah, you would be free to upgrade his weapon however you'd like. Finally here we just have the story portion of Darken Forest. It's one boss fight, not really too much challenge. The only thing I'll point out is that these enemies can use Bewitch, which causes the Enthrall status. It's a little bit of a hassle to deal with, and so you may want to reserve a couple of your unions outside of direct engagement so that you can use Cure Them if it kills them in the event that you get enthralled.
What are you looking at?
Don't let him take you out!
Are you all right?
Strike at their flank!
Piece of cake!
There's still plenty of power left in these old bones.
I'll do my best.
So now I've come to Gore to deal with our one quest in this segment, and that is the Duke of Gore's quest. That's the Gates of Deceit and the Sword of the Dead. Now I'm stopping here at the end first to show the state of the inn. There is currently not an NPC waiting there to interact with. This quest does require that you interact with an NPC, but before he'll show up, you have to actually go to Gore Castle, interact once more with the Duke of Gore. You'll see he's got a red talk bubble over his head. After this conversation, you can return to the pub. You can interact with the Duke of Gore's messenger, and after that interaction, when you return to the castle once more, the quest is finally offered to you. The quest itself, not that challenging. Well, to a new player it may be, since the navigation of Newer Mine, where you'll go, is not completely straightforward. But you'll see here in the video how to make your way through this sort of a transporter type maze. If you make the wrong turn, you'll get transported back to the beginning of the mine potentially. And so that can be kind of a hassle if you don't have a map to reference. So just follow along in the video and I'll show you the way to get through that. There is a boss fight at the very end. You do get the Duke of Gore's help along with a couple of his companions. But again, if you've made it through Koenigsdorf, this fight is not going to be too much of a challenge for you. Your rewards for the fight is that Rush gets to learn traps. Base level traps can be kind of a hassle to train at this point in the game, but can be extremely useful in a new game plus. In addition to that, the Ring of the Labyrinth becomes available in Gore. There's a limited amount of characters that are available for hire there, but one of them is the Duke of Gore. And so if you're holding out for an 18th member, certainly a worthwhile addition. He begins as a very well-developed axeman. He also starts with a remnant weapon that has a remnant weapon art that he's capable of using if he's in the Union leader position.
Leave these fiends to me!
Here I come! Get ready for the best move you will ever see!
Smash him from the side!
Hang in there, all right?
I still have more powers
mine!
waiting to be released.
I'll follow whatever orders you give me.
So for the remainder of this segment, I'll be returning to each of the 3 guilds so that I can redeem all of our pending guild tasks. There's quite a few that we've been accomplishing along the way that actually don't become available for redeeming until after the Koenigsdorf segment of the story. Now that that's behind us, you'll see here once we actually get into this guild, there's a lot that has been waiting to be redeemed. So we'll knock all that out, and again, I'm going to visit all 3 of them. But there'll be no other story-related or quests, no other guild tasks themselves for the rest of this video.